All right, welcome to part three of our presentation. And with part three, we're going to start off with refined web searches. All right, so you decide that you wanted to search for a particular item. There's certain things that you can do to help refine your search. This particular page is showing you that you can use quote marks around the search item. And this finds web pages with the exact words in the same order. You can use a vertical bar, and that means the or condition. So you can search for this or you can search for that. All right. A hyperlink, the minus symbol in front means not. So you can say, I want everything in this particular area that doesn't fit this. All right. So maybe you want to search for how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, but you don't want to know what color. Okay. So, and then there's the wild card, which is just everything. You don't want everything. Okay. And also web pages have ranges that you can also put in. So you know what? I'm using the pound with the two dots and another pound. Find web pages within a range of numbers. Okay. All right. So the CARS checklist is the credibility. All right. It starts with credibility for the C. Identify the author and check credentials. To determine the credibility of the website, identify the author of the web page and check their credentials. This information is often listed on the contact us page, or the about page. If you find a bibliographical information, read it and learn whether the author has a degree in the field related to the topic. Does the search engine such as Google or the professional networking site LinkedIn to search for the author's name and see whether the author is an expert in the subject? These will really help you out. How do you know if someone is an authority on the climate change? She has her own website. She uses technical jargon that most readers wouldn't understand. The numerous articles on the global uh, warming site, cites her work, and she has a PhD in political science. So, which one would you select? If you were going to make a selection on this, the answer should be C. Numerous articles on the global warming sites cite her work. Okay. Accuracy. Accuracy, verify the facts and the claims, check for bias. To check for accuracy on the website, verify its facts and claims, an expert, consult an expert, or use fact checking sites such as snoopies.com or factcheck.org to find professionally researched information. Evaluate the information source. Be wary of web addresses that contain slight modifications of legitimate sites. Use unusable domain names or have a long URL. If it goes on forever, probably that site is not a real site. Okay. Find out more about an organization that has no history, physical location, or staff. Check to see if the source has a bias and evaluate the information with the bias in mind. Check the web page footer for the date the information was published or updated. For many topics, especially technology, you need current information. Here's a question for you. You have found an article published in 1981 about the most recent trends in project management. Would it be an appropriate source for a presentation in your business class on current trends in working together as a team? Your proper answer should be B, no, because the fact that it's been since 1981, we are now in 2020, that information would be old. The next one in the list of cars is R, reasonableness. All right. Examine whether the claims are fair and sensible. To check how reasonable a website is, identify the purpose of the web page. Is the page designed to provide facts and other information, sell a product or services, or express opinions? Evaluate whether the web page offers more than one point of view. Typically, you want to see that they do mention more than just one point. If it doesn't, then you know that that's going to be a biased site. Emotional, persuasive, or biased language is often a sign that the author is not being fair or moderate. Even opinions such as should be expressed in a moderate tone. Look for a conflict of interest. For example, if the web page reviews a certain brand of smartphone and the author sells those types of phones, he or she has a conflict of interest. All right, so here's your question. Bias is the tendency of the information source to selectively overemphasize some things and de-emphasize other things in such a way that it unfairly favors a certain conclusion or point of view. Which of the following newspaper headlines suggest bias? A, Air from Kenya concert blows up. Uh, B, why does everyone hate the Tea Party? C, an attack on Beckman's husband. Let's see here. And D, 4, economists evaluate Obama's economic legacy. All right, if you were going to make a selection, it should be B. Why does everyone hate the Tea Party? Everyone doesn't hate the Tea Party or they wouldn't exist. So you know that's going to be a bias situation. All right, we're going to go ahead and press on. The support. Here's the last part of it. Support. Look for reputable sources and author authorities. To evaluate a web page support, look for links or citations to reputable sources or authorities. Test the links to make sure that they work. Check other web pages and print material on topics to see if they cite the same sources. Look for quotations from an expert. For photos or other reproduced content, a credit line should appear somewhere on the page that states the source and any necessary copyright information. All right, so here's your question. You know an article is from a peer-reviewed journal because A, it was written by someone knowledgeable in the subject area. B, it was reviewed by experts, scholars, before being published. C, it contains general overview of the topic it addresses. And D, you don't know. If you were going to make a selection, you should select B. It was reviewed by expert scholars before being published. All right. So the following ethical guidelines: copying photos might violate intellectual property rights. So intellectual property rights are the rights given to a person over the creation of their minds. They include patents, copyright, industrial design rights, trademarks, plant variety rights, trade dress, geographical indications, and in some uh, jurisdictions, trade secrets. A copyright gives authors and artists the legal right to sell, publish, and distribute an original work. Copyright protects intellectual property, which includes original works of authorship, including literal, dramatic, musical, or artistic works such as poetry, novels, movies, songs, and computer software. Some online resources are protected by the Digital Rights Management or DRM, which limit access to the propriety rights. All right, so DRM prevents unauthorized redistribution of digital media and restricts the ways consumers can copy content they've purchased. All right, whether the information source is copyrighted or is in the public domain, you should cite it. If you quote if you quote or paraphrase, it is in your paper or speech. So if you're going to do any kind of attachment to it, you need to make sure that you put it into your paper and you add it as a copyrighted source. Gathering content from online sources. Some material in the public domain can be used without permission. The term public domain refers to creative materials that are not protected by intellectual property laws, such as copyright, trademarks, or patent laws. The public owns these works, not an individual author or artist. Anyone can use a public domain work without obtaining permission, but no one can ever own it. The fair use doctrine allows one to use a sentence or paragraph or text without permission with citation to the original source. So fair use is the legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyrighted protected works in certain circumstances, such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, as an example of the activities that may qualify as fair use. So, Creative Commons CC, a nonprofit organization that helps content creators keep copyright to their materials while allowing others to use, copy, or distribute their work. Citing sources. A citation is a formal reference to the source. Each type of information uses different citation styles. Failure to cite sources, even if some of the words are changed or paraphrased, is plagiarism. So, according to the New Oxford American Dictionary, plagiarism is defined as the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as your own. All right, so MCC, Memorandum on Student Conduct and Discipline, says that plagiarism is res- uh, representing another's ideas as one's own in connection with the matter upon which the student or another performance is being uh, or will be evaluated. So don't do it, okay? Even if you just change a few words and stick it in there, it's not yours to do. So if you come up with an idea and you want to support, you're saying, "Oh, this is support for an idea that I have," and you find information about it. If they say the exact same thing that you're trying to say, excuse me, if they say the same thing that you're trying to say, then make sure that you give them rights. All right, you cite them on the site page, and it doesn't really matter what type of site you use. Um, you still need to give them rights. Okay. So that was the end of part three. I want to tell you thank you for sitting through all of this. And I'm still learning how to do this. So please don't judge me by these early ones. All right. I'm going to get better as they come. Practice makes perfect. All right. So let's go ahead and end this with you. And we'll see you on module 3.